And then if you're going through a situation where you're like, man, I'm struggling with peace, I'm struggling with God being my provider, I'm struggling with joy, then you finding directly a worship song that speaks to that, and you replay it and you replay it and you replay it. And I can promise you this, you'll find that your conscious mind is no longer focusing on your situation, and it's now beginning to meditate on the words, and the words in the song are beginning to permeate your mind. And you'll look up and you'll say, oh my goodness, not only is my situation changed, but in addition to my situation changing, I feel a joy, I feel a peace, I feel a strength about it. Hey y'all, it's Courtney Rose, and this is the UnlockHER podcast, where we'll have conversations that help you possibly create breakthroughs and be able to go about tackling life different. Today's topic is power washing your mind. I think this couldn't have been a better topic because I didn't realize there was a time period where my thoughts were controlling so much of my life. And as I became aware of my thought life, it literally changed everything. So I want to perhaps propose a thought process that may introduce you to a new way to see life, do life, so you can have a whole new life experience and unlock something on the inside. So let's talk about it really quickly. So what if I told you the one thing in your life that's possibly stopping you? It's not that there's a lack of money. It's not that you can't find a job. It's not that nobody wants to support your business. It's not that there's too many people in your business and your industry is oversaturated. It's not that you don't have enough support. It's not that you're in a small town. It's not that any of those things that you've possibly told yourself. What if it's possibly that you've listened to these thoughts that you've told yourself and you believe them? And because you believe them, they have actually been the thing that's kept you back from experiencing what it is that you want to experience. So for example, today we're talking about the invisible force of your thoughts. How many of you realize that what you think, it encourages you or it discourages you? Have you ever found yourself just sitting down, and through you sitting down, you find yourself maybe thinking about something? You could have been having a perfectly great day and you take the time to think about something, or you get on social media and you see something that makes you feel some sort of way, and immediately it changes how you feel. The reason why you've had a shift in how you feel is because when you seen that thing or when you thought that thing, it created a pathway of thoughts in your mind. And that thought now changed exactly how you go about feeling throughout the day. And so often we go through life and we're thinking these things and we're feeling this way and we don't know how to change it. There was a time period where my thoughts and my life was so not what I wanted to be. I would literally just talk crazy to myself all day long. If anybody else was talking to me how I was talking to myself, I probably wouldn't have had it. I wouldn't have tolerated it. However, I didn't realize that the very thing that I wouldn't have tolerated from other people, I was doing to myself. Telling myself, it's never going to work. You're never going to be enough. You're not pretty. You're fat. You're inconsistent. You procrastinate. Telling myself all this stuff that maybe in that moment, I thought it was the truth, but was it helping me get to the other side? Was it helping me create a new life experience? It wasn't. And so there was a day where I was literally driving to the gym, and when driving to the gym, because I was working on improving, my body, decreasing the jelly rolls, decreasing the cellulite. And as I'm driving, trying to do a good thing, I'm hearing myself talk to myself, telling me how inconsistent I am, reminding me how many times I've started and I stopped, reminding me of some of the other people that have told me how inconsistent I was. And in that moment, in that car, for some reason that day, I was able to hear myself so clearly and be able to hear how I was talking to me, how I was telling me everything that was not healthy, maybe true in that moment. And that's why I was so inconsistent. I realized that moment, man, Court, maybe that's why you're so inconsistent, because you've been telling yourself you're so inconsistent. Maybe that's why you feel low about yourself. Maybe that's why you don't have any confidence, because you're telling yourself all the negative things about yourself instead of you talking and encouraging yourself and telling yourself you got this and you can become more and you can change. You're doing so good and you got this, girlfriend, and keep on showing up. I was telling myself, all the things and I was reminding me. You hate when somebody else brings up something from your past. Yeah, I didn't realize in that moment I was doing that to myself. I was reminding me in my mind, not out loud, of all the times I start and I stopped, all the times that I was inconsistent. And the end result is I end up being inconsistent. But I feel like that day it was a breakthrough moment for me. And the reason why I felt like it was a breakthrough moment is because prior to that day, I had never been able to hear my thoughts, let alone see my thoughts. And the moment I became aware, there was no music playing. I was just driving to the gym. I immediately just began to hear like, man, how long have you been telling yourself you're never going to be anything? You're never going to have anything. It's never going to work out. You're always going to be inconsistent. And I just began to realize, man, Court, you've been telling yourself this. You tell yourself this every day. The moment you wake up, you're telling yourself how you should have woke up earlier and you should have did this and you should have did that. So when are you going to ever get it together? But I began to realize in that moment, I've been telling myself and talking to myself crazy all these years. The only thing that I knew to do in that moment, for some reason, something came to me. And what came to me was, hey, Court, you gotta listen to something else. And I don't know if it was a worship song. I believe it was a worship song, or it could have been Eric Thomas. I began to turn on something motivational that encouraged me and began to tell me that, in order to be something you've never become, you got to do something you've never done. Only those who risk going too far can possibly know how far one can go. And I just began to literally listen to the words that I was playing and literally begin to communicate alongside of them. So much to where what I was previously thinking, I no longer could think, because now I was talking along with what it was I was hearing. I had no idea that God was literally showing me how to change my thoughts. And let me share with you how he began to do that. So he began to show me, okay, great. Well, that's good. Every time you drive to the gym now, Court, you need to listen to motivational songs or motivational podcasts, because now it's giving you, your mind is so focused on what it is that they're saying, and you're so focused on trying to listen, but now you're beginning to believe the things that they're saying in this podcast, in this song, to where now your mind can't be thinking about what you've always been and reminding you of who you've always been. Now it's so focused on now listening or rehearsing what you've heard over here. Then I began to realize, oh my goodness, it could work the same thing in so many other instances. There were times where I would literally be going through a challenging season where I'm stressed out and I feel like life is coming at me and I just can't breathe, for godly G's sakes, because life is just coming at me crazy. And it would be a song that would come on Pandora, on YouTube, and it would say, it may look like I'm surrounded by you. This is how I fight my battles. And in that current moment where I was feeling so overwhelmed, so defeated, so exhausted by life, like, when are things going to get better? But me hearing that song in that moment, for some reason, my subconscious picked it up and it realized that's exactly the mindset. That's the thought that you need to digest, grab a hold of, and tell yourself while you're going through this. And so I did exactly that. I began to pause, stop thinking about my situation, and begin to literally listen to the song that was playing on the TV. I had to stop the song, see what the name of the song was, who was singing it, then go find it on YouTube, save it on a channel, and then literally just play it over and over and over and over, and even find the versions where the lyrics were on the TV, so that I can be able to convince myself to think about what this song was saying instead of think about my situation, instead of thinking about my circumstance, instead of thinking about IRS auditing for my businesses, finance all over the place, stressed out, whatever the case may be, things going wrong in business, things going wrong in my life. Instead, I was able to focus on, it may look like I'm surrounded by you. This is how I fight my battles. And I began to, instead of thinking about that was real to me in that moment, the situation didn't go away just because I was playing the song, but I was focusing my thoughts, my attention on this song. And I didn't realize me making the decision to just sing along with this song was a posture of me choosing to worship. And God literally came in, and it was like he just began to put my mind at peace and put my mind at ease. And he began to power wash my thoughts of the fear and the worry and the confusion and the overwhelmness from my thoughts. And now to a place of, when I want to be stressed out or overwhelmed or freak out, It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. And so I begin to realize, oh my goodness, like, what if I do this every single time I go through something? Instead of me focusing on the situation, I find a song that directly relates to what it is that I'm going through in life and allow that song to be the thing that I lean on, that I rehearse. Because if not, when you're going through something, you're just going to keep on rehearsing the situation. There was a time where I was dealing with a stalker or stalkers, and people literally putting like charcoal around my house and coming by and taking pictures and getting text messages telling me they see me at the lake and they see me, what I was eating and drinking and where I work out and where I walk at. And I was freaking out. There was time periods I would literally, during this season, I was struggling so tough with peace. I would fall asleep with my hand on the trigger of my gun, with my hand under the pillow. I was taking my gun to the shower with me, riding with it in the front seat. Like, it had gotten bad. I was so struggling with my peace and my sanity and like feeling like I'm okay and not wanting to be forever paranoid, trying to figure out, should I hire security to be in my home all the time to keep me protected? But I couldn't afford that I had to call the Lord and say, Lord, you say that you fight my battles. And there was a time where I was sitting in the car crying again and stressed out, like, God, what's going on? Like, you say you fight my battles, but I was struggling like with, not feeling afraid and worried. And the song came on by Ryan Ellis, You Give Me Perfect Peace. And that song, it was like God sent that song to meet me in that moment. And I just began to just now cry, but cry with like, God, you're going to give me perfect peace. And although I didn't feel it in that moment, I didn't sense it, and it didn't feel like it was real, I decided to just replay that song. And now that was a song that I listened to in my car, in my home, when I'm in the bedroom, when I'm working, when I'm, doing everything throughout my life, so much to where it permeated the fear, the worry, the anxiety, all those emotions that I was experiencing in that season from my thoughts, from my mind, which affected how I felt, to where now I was able to go throughout the day and be able to feel a level of peace, even though I was still getting the attacks, even though things were still happening. My automatic thought process was not, oh my goodness, I'm worried. It was like, Lord, you give me perfect peace. I didn't have to play the song, because me listening to that song so much over and over and over again, I had no idea the Lord was power washing my mind to where I felt that without even trying to feel it. To the point where now I didn't have to play the song to feel it. It was truly within me. It came in and it changed, it corrupted where my mind was wanting to worry, to now a place of like default. I automatically know and have a level of knowingness that, Lord, you're going to work this out. You're going to fight my battles and you're going to give me perfect peace. So to anyone that's going through life, that's trying to become something, you have a situation that's happening in your life. Instead of you replaying the story over and over again, or replaying the circumstance or the situation, if you're struggling with a job and finances, then it's finding a song where it's talking about God is your provider. And you just stay in that song and you just keep on listening to it and listening to it. And you listen to that song while you're looking for jobs. And you listen to that song while you're driving to the store. You listen to that song when you're getting gas. You listen to that song while you're falling asleep, and you listen to that song and you decide to unplug from everything, the news and everything else that reminds you of the reality of your circumstance, and instead focus on listening to that song, because it will power wash your mind. And what that's going to do, it's going to allow you to be able to, go about tackling life different. And so if you can do this, you can distract your thoughts. Worship literally taught worship music, not listening to any worship music, but listening to a particular song that was relative to what it was I was going through. It taught me, I believe, the most powerful thing ever, how to distract my thoughts from focusing on the situation at hand, the problem at hand, the elephant in the room that I could not change in this moment. It forced me to focus on a song where you're calling down heaven, you're calling God in your situation. And by me indirectly doing this, it literally allowed me to be able to go through the toughest of seasons with a level of peace and fearlessness and grace and power. And what I found is I got the end result that I wanted. Eventually the situation played out. And I'm not forever traumatized. I'm not forever angry about the situation. I was able to get through the season and not allow that season of life to change me forever. And so worship music literally did that for me. It power washed my mind. So perhaps I want to propose that you take the time to spend some time with yourself as well. And you identify tomorrow when you're driving in the car, or even after you get finished spending this time with me today, hey, what is it that I'm thinking in this moment? Cut off the noise, cut off the TV, and begin to ask yourself, what is it that I'm listening to? What are my thoughts telling me? And for me, I had to write down what I was, thinking. I had to write down what I was telling myself and then write the opposite and then post that somewhere in and around my home so I can see this new thing that I wanted to tell myself. And then if you're going through a situation where you're like, man, I'm struggling with peace. I'm struggling with God being my provider. I'm struggling with joy. Then you finding directly a worship song that speaks to that, and you replay it and you replay it and you replay it. And I can promise you this, you'll find that your conscious mind is no longer focusing on your situation, and it's now beginning to meditate on the words, and the words in the song are beginning to permeate your mind. And you'll look up and you'll say, oh my goodness, not only is my situation changed, but in addition to my situation changing, I feel a joy, I feel a peace, I feel a strength about it, versus you feeling defeated by whatever it is that you're going through. And so that's my challenge to you, for you to begin to immerse yourself in worship and see what happens. I promise to share some of my personal favorite worship songs down below, so make sure you take the time to check them out. Do your inventory of what you think, what you're thinking, what you've been telling yourself. Write the opposite of what you've been telling yourself, and begin to literally marinate your mind in worship based off of what it is that you're going through, and watch your entire life change. I believe that we just unlocked her.